Hello and welcome to Assorted Crackers. I'm Eric, and I'm here with Wilson and Lee, and we have some stories to tell today, inspired by a really thoughtful listener mail, and we're looking forward to this. So guys, get your nostalgia on, conjure up your best stories, and let's get going.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So, guys, we did get a great email. This is from Jess. I'll read it real quick. It says, "Hey, Crackers, my name is Jess. I wanted to tell you that I did start listening to your show, and I love hearing all the adventures that you guys are on. I wanted to take a moment to let you know that there are a lot of people out there who really appreciate what you guys are creating. You often ask for input from your listeners, so I thought that I would share a couple of things that have been on my mind. First, I love to hear more stories about how you and some of your hobbies with your children. Boy, I'm doing terrible at reading.
I offered you reading lessons. I offered you reading lessons.
I'm getting nervous. Reading is so terrible for me.
Carry on. You're doing great.
First, I'd love to hear more stories about how you share some of your hobbies with your children. One of the reasons is I enjoy your podcast is because it reminds me of my own dad, who lives very far away, and I like to think of the fun things that and hear about the fun things that you did with you and your family. Second, I'm not much of a whiskey drinker, but I want to learn to appreciate it without wincing every time I take a sip. So, do you have any tips that for someone out there who's trying to develop a taste for whiskey?"
Oh, Jess. Well, first of all, don't feel bad. I'm not much of a whiskey drinker either.
No. I think that could get evident over the rest of this podcast if we go deeper into it.
Be careful.
We're just doing finger tasting. It's okay.
But I love
that
this.
was a very thoughtful email.
I really
appreciate
like
that
the
very much.
premise. Yeah. I mean, and in many ways, she has tapped into one of the reasons when we first sat down and said, let's make this podcast. We wanted to capture not just the stories, but the stories behind the stories. And all of us throughout almost every episode have referenced our kids or our parents, which all of that gets passed down, how we operate, how we live the best life that we know how to live, and how we try to keep it fresh, keep it from going stale.
Absolutely.
So who wants to go first on this one?
Let me dive in. I'll be happy to. So, I think it's really important. I think just like with this podcast, it's all about being intentional, right? We were intentional I believe we've been intentional as parents. I think that we grew up, probably in an era where our parents, we've said it on several other podcasts where they kind of let us go and do what we wanted to do. We had our bicycles and we could cruise the neighborhood and do whatever we want. When the sun came up and the sun goes down, we knew we needed to be at home. So we
street
could be
lights.
back in,
It was the street lights.
Yeah, when the street lights came on, it was time to be home to eat dinner. And so that's what we did. And the world's not like that today. So I think that it's been really important that we've evolved into adults and as parents to be intentional. And so some of the things that I felt like that I wanted to be intentional about with my kids and with my wife, we both have been very intentional, and work ethic was something that we felt like was really important, and a positive attitude. So some of the ways that we have tried to build on that are from a very early age. We would I tried to get my kids to enjoy doing chores. I mean, always did things around the house. Always did my, mow the yard, fix things, or did whatever, and I would involve the kids in helping me with that. And so they learned how to do things. They learned that it was fun to do things. Sometimes I would say, okay, we're raking the leaves today, and today we're going to rake the leaves, and the reward is candy corn. So,
did you hate your kids?
No, my kids love candy corn.
Oh my God!
It was awesome. So
I can tell that's your favorite.
Not a candy corn fan.
Not a candy corn. Well, I mean, this is the season when candy corn comes around. I mean, we're coming up on Halloween and leaves to fall. So we would go bag leaves, and I was talking to my son about this, and he's like, "Dad, that was something. I don't know how you did it, but you made us think that raking leaves was fun." And so I would give them candy corn for every bag. They would get candy corn And then the next bag, they would get more candy corn. And the next bag, they would get more. And
Well, did you let them jump in the big pile of leaves?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a must.
That's the reward.
Yeah. I mean, we had fun doing it, and we had fun doing it. But they also learned that the more you do, the more you're rewarded.
Yeah.
And so you do something, and then I also tried to teach them if you do things with a positive attitude, and you do things without me asking, and you do it right, and you do a good job and take pride in what you're doing, then there were always bonuses. So therefore, my son now wants to be straight commission in everything he does because he wants to knock it out of the park.
That's awesome.
And so, to me, those are things that are fun. So being a part of doing work ethic, doing things like that, and that's just a simple example of the raking leaves and rewarding them with candy and then that. But as they were doing things, I wanted to make sure that they understood it was okay if you didn't do well, if you didn't have an attitude that was perfect that day. It was okay, but you may not get that bonus. You still got paid, but you didn't get your bonus.
Wow.
But if you did it right, you would get that bonus. But the main thing is that it's always about building the wall. You put one brick in at a time, and you keep going, and then eventually you built this awesome wall. And so that's kind of how we, Carrie and I, have spent time with our kids looking at everything we do is just building a wall. Another thing we would do is I made sure that I volunteered to coach their teams. Yeah. Spending time with them and their friends was really important because at that time when you get kids out playing sports and you're doing stuff, you learn about their friends, you learn, sports teach you a lot about life, about teamwork, about sharing, about helping others be successful, and therefore the whole team rises when you do that.
Yeah.
And when you learn to work together, I think those are things that are very helpful.
Now, what sports did you coach?
So soccer, basketball, and those are the main ones. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because I coach both of my children. Did you sometimes struggle with your kids knowing their dad was the coach and thinking they were going to get extra playing time or extra favor, or did they understand that you're just the coach, you're not their dad on the sideline?
No, we didn't have a problem. I made that very clear on the front end.
Yeah.
And you just made them run extra laps.
Well, I mean, I said, look, I'm going to probably be harder on you than I am the other kids. And the reason I did that is I actually had my mother was my teacher for about 3 years. And I had to call her Miss Still. And when she wouldn't answer the fourth time, I'd raise my hand, and she knew I knew the answer, and she wouldn't call on me. I'd say, "Mom,"
and that was it. No candy corn.
And I was in trouble at that point. Come on. But I thought that was a good lesson my mom taught me. It was like, if I show you any favoritism, it's not going to help you in the long run. So my mom did a good job of making sure that I learned that lesson as a young kid in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
I love the sports piece of it. I think I talk about it being intentional. I think sometimes one of the lessons I learned, frankly, watching my own father, he worked so hard. He was your classic workaholic. And sometimes, frankly, he took things too seriously, like the wrong things, And I wanted to make sure that my kids enjoyed themselves.
Yeah.
As well as worked hard. And I will say my workaholic father, one of the things that, during the weekdays, sometimes I wouldn't see him. He would come in from work at 7 or 8 at night and have dinner, and that'd be that. But he did salvage his weekends. He really did. He loved yard work. He loved just sitting on the back deck and listening to the crickets and the frogs in the backyard. And when I had soccer games growing up, he was always there on the sideline. And I remember just his presence and being there. And so when my kids came up and were interested in playing sports, I wanted to be that coach for exactly the same reason. I wanted them to know I was there. I wanted them to see my presence. And frankly, I wanted them to see me as something more than just their dad. I had something to contribute here.
Sure.
And I remember it was kind of fun because it was church league soccer early on, and this was my son's team, and it was a co-ed team. And we had, at that age, you got some kids who are naturals. They just pick it up. They know how to dribble the ball. They know how to pass. They know how to go open space. And you got some kids who would just as soon pick daisies. They're not into it. Mm-hmm. And so you would try to mix your roster. I'm competitive. And so you would try to mix your roster up so you've got kind of a balance of the kids who are into it and grinding and the kids who aren't, to try to kind of get through the 4 quarters. And I was kind of a little bit structured. I had a quarter-by-quarter substitution schedule to make sure that everybody got to play. Absolutely, everybody got to play. But also, frankly, we didn't have any weak lineups.
Right.
But when you're doing that, you can't help but fantasize about, wouldn't it be great if I could put my best kids on the field? Because, man, again, we had some gamers, and one of them was my son. And I'll always remember this. He was probably, 8 years old, and we were playing a game late October around this time. It was cool, crisp, blue sky day, and I got, and when I would get through my rotations, I would literally draw a line through quarter one, draw a line through quarter two. So I knew that the game was over and we had tied. The game was tied. It was a good game, good competitive game. And for some crazy reason, the other coach, when the referee blew the whistle and said game over, he's like, "Whoa, what are you doing? We got another quarter to play." And the referee's like, he's probably a 15-year-old kid. He's like, I that was 4 quarters. And the coach was like, no, that was 3 quarters. And the referee looked at me and he said, "Coach, what do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think we got another quarter to play." And so I stacked the hell out of that lineup. I put all my best kids out there for one more quarter. We put 3 more goals in the net before that quarter was over. It was the highlight of my day.
Nice.
It was fun.
Nice.
But it just, going back to the purpose. Mm-hmm. Again, my daughter played softball, and I was always wanted to be there in the dugout for that,
Yeah.
Because I wanted them to see that no matter what they're going through or what they're trying, and again, some of these sports they were better at than others, but I wanted them to know I was there and my wife was there, we were behind them.
Absolutely. I love that. Wilson, what about you?
No, I think I'm in the same. I mean, having 4 kids, I think I coached all of them at one point or another in basketball. It was mostly basketball because I did not really play soccer growing up, so I didn't understand it.
Right.
Or I didn't feel confident enough to be able to coach them in soccer.
Right.
So I coached a lot of basketball. But yeah, I mean, you're picking them up, you're taking them to practice, and after the game, you can talk to them,
Yeah.
try to encourage as well as, say this is what you did wrong. This
Right.
is what, how do you think the team did? What do you think, just to try to get them to think through the process, whether you win or lose. I mean, you have to cope with a loss, even, whether it's.
Wait, you lost?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
But, but you did want to encourage all the kids, because I was coaching Olivia's team one year in basketball, and you wanted to play everyone, and there was a sweet girl on the team, and she was just there because all our friends were on the team, right? So
Yeah.
it's her turn to go into the game again. I tried to switch them out every other quarter, whatever it was, and I was like, "All right, it's time for you to go back in." And she goes, "No, I'm good." And I said, "You,
I'm having fun over here."
Yeah.
And so I was, the game, I had to tell her parents, your sweet girl did not want to go back in the game. So anyway, it was good. Yeah, it's those kind of things that are, but you're there.
I'm sure the parents were like, "Yep, that's my little girl."
Uh-huh.
But you're there and you're involved. And, but I think one for me was somebody gave us some Ole Miss tickets. Will was 2.5. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to slight any of my other children, but Will was 2.5. I told before we left, I was like, we'll go to the Grove, we'll see some friends, and then he's 2.5. He ain't gonna make it the whole game.
Right.
We'll be out of there at halftime, right? Because he's gonna be tired.
Right.
How wrong was I? We get there, he does the whole Grove thing,
Yeah.
eating, drinking Cokes, whatever.
Yeah. 4 game dogs.
We get in the stands, and he is just going bananas.
Yeah.
And he is loving it. Doesn't know what the heck's going on. It didn't matter. We were playing South Carolina. Lou Holtz was the coach.
Wow.
And so it didn't matter if the South Carolina band was playing or the Ole Miss band. I mean, band kicked in. He was jumping up, waving the pom-poms,
Nice.
Entertaining all the fans around us. And it was unbelievable.
I love it.
And even with hunting too, I think, being able to take all the kids hunting and being intentional and, even at a young age, I can remember my dad and my grandfather would take me with them to take the boat over and get it set up for the season and clean or do whatever we needed to do to be ready. And so being able to do that with my kid, it's like it's a generational thing. You appreciate those times together and what your parents are investing in you. So you want to return or pay it forward, however you want to say it.
You remember those memories, and you can't, don't get to miss out.
And so being able to do that with mine, especially opening weekend, be able to take, the kids and my dad and sit there, have dinner together, talk hunting, talk stories.
Well, Wilson, do you remember, because I joked earlier that you are a fanatic when it comes to getting ducks. You get frustrated if they fly in and they fly out without getting shot. But the reality is when we bring our kids hunting or fishing, you're probably not setting yourself up to hit your limit necessarily. But that's not the point.
It's not the point. It's to
do you
teach
remember
him.
The first time, I guess Will would have been the first one you took duck hunting. Do you remember the first time he put one on the water?
Yes. I mean, it was, it was opening weekend. It was a great morning, not too cold. Mm-hmm. And, my dad is, my dad is there calling and we're calling and, we would let Will, you'd let the kids shoot first.
Yes, always.
And so, when he shot his first drake, mallard drake, it's just one of those things that it's like, we've made it.
Time kind of stops.
Nice.
And, and to see my dad get so excited, because I remember my grandfather.
Yeah.
It's just that,
Yeah.
And, all of them, it's just, it doesn't, even when John and Olivia shot their first ones, it was.
You remember it.
You do.
You remember the moment.
Because especially for whatever reason with John and my dad and I, it was, we were hunting and it was a cold morning and we had to break some ice. And so I get the decoys set up, put my dad where he's going to put John next to my dad. And I'm going to push the boat back in the woods to hide it.
And how old's John roughly this time?
Oh, he's 10 or 11 maybe.
Yeah.
He's got a 410. And so I'm pushing the boat back in the woods. It's shallow and I'm breaking ice with the boat. And all of a sudden I hear my dad call a couple of times. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to get busy.
Something's coming in.
And so I'm breaking ice, tying the boat up, and I hear, bam, splash. I'm like, what the heck? And so anyway.
You're like, I'm missing another killing.
Wait for me.
And so then again, I'm walking back, and I hear, my dad give a couple of quacks, and then bam, splash. And so John's got 2 ducks before.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So, it was a pretty great day. But, and then Olivia and took Megan, and to have them all there at the same time is pretty awesome. And to be able to see how excited they get.
Yeah.
To be with, opening weekend. Even this year, they really want my dad to be able to get back in the woods.
Sure.
And it's just too hard,
Yeah.
And so, they're all wanting to make it happen for him. But I think just even him being there after the hunt, talking the stories.
I was going to say, just sitting down with him and
football
recapping everything.
Yeah, letting him relive through their eyes.
Yes.
Is probably gold to him, but also gold to them and you.
Yeah.
As you recount those stories.
But
That's awesome.
there's one particular hole where we hunt a lot, and it's normally a little more shallow water, so it's easier for the kids to hunt in. And when the kids were little, my dad could get around better. It was just special to watch them and just get so excited. And even when they miss, get frustrated, and you got to calm them down and say, look.
And I'm guessing you didn't pull the trigger a whole lot during those trips. You just mostly were bringing them in and watching.
Well, there was one hunt.
After they missed, Wilson took them down. Because he is an Olympian.
We're going to the ski club right now, buddy.
Well, no, there was one particular hunt that and I'm trying to remember. I think John and Will were both there, but we got our limits pretty quick, and my dad was calling and watching, and I'm like, Dad, you've got to get up here. This is just, this was one of those days where the ducks are just falling in, and I'm like, Dad, you've got to get up here. You've got to stand, you got to shoot some, and, and to see him get that mojo back was pretty cool.
Nice.
So
nice. We're talking through things. There's 2 favorite stories I have, one for each of my children, real quick, that goes back to the sports thing, And, one, I'll start with my daughter. I'm coaching her church league basketball team, and we weren't very good at all. I don't even think she had played basketball really, and I'm not sure that. I think I had one girl out of 8 or 9 girls that were on the team, and so we were playing a team that was pretty good, and I think that the game was coming to an end, and we were losing, I think 32-0 towards the end of the game.
Wow,
That's close.
Yeah, and so but you know what, the girls were having fun. They weren't upset about it.
But honestly, Lee, a few touchdowns and you could have caught up.
Just a few touchdowns in basketball would have been great. We were still in it. They were still. So you're telling me you still got a chance.
Yes.
So when I'm sitting there talking, to the girls, towards the end of the game, I called timeout and said, "Hey, we're having fun, right?" And they were like, "Yeah, we're having fun. It's great. It's great." Turns out another girl stole the ball from us and scored
Garbage points.
No, scored points for us.
Oh, wrong.
And the I looked over
Wrong
at the
hoop.
scorekeeper and they go, "What do?" I said, "You give us those 2
Give us
points."
those two, baby.
And our girls were so excited. The other girl scored for us. They were jumping up and
They
down.
were cheering for her.
They were cheering for her. They were like, "Oh, we finally got on
That's
the board."
awesome.
So, I think, as
Wilson-
a coach, it wasn't my finest day. But I will say, when I look back on it, it was pretty special. And nice story.
I appreciate you saying as a coach, because you were setting this up, and I was going to ask Wilson if that sounded familiar. The kids, we didn't have great players. I was starting to feel like you were Hugh Freeze over here, blaming players.
Oh,
instead of taking some coaching
I'm
responsibility.
no. Come on, man.
Okay.
Come on, man.
So you said you had 2
I don't have a burner
stories.
phone.
You said, stop. Easy fella.
All right, so the second story I would say would be with my son, and it was when he was playing soccer. We were playing one day, and Hudson was pretty good. He was a little bigger than the other boys, and so he could kind of go down the field and score and run around and run through people. People would bounce off of him a little bit, and so. But there was one boy on the team, and he was super quiet. I mean, never said a word. Never really, didn't have a whole lot of athletic in him. But he came every practice. He came to every game. He played in every game. Didn't get much out of him. He was playing defense. The game was pretty tight. We were up by a goal, and we were down there playing, and it was getting tight. We were all excited. Then all of a sudden, there's a breakaway from the other team, and I knew there wasn't a lot of time left. And the kid kicked it out a little bit further than he should have, and this young man kicked the ball, and I saw the ball go out, and he was going for the ball, and I'm yelling, "Kick it as far as you can out of bounds.
Clear it.
Just clear that ball." And he nailed it, and it went like a whole field over.
Hit the parking lot.
And then by the time they came back with the ball, the game's over. Whistle blows, and the favorite part. Okay, so he did well, but my favorite part was somebody on the sidelines got a picture of my son picking up the other boy, holding him up in the air, celebrating this boy that was not, the greatest athlete, but
kicked the hell out of the ball.
But he kicked the hell out of the ball. It was like Rudy.
Yeah,
It was like he won. He finally
That's
got it.
awesome.
He finally got in the game, did his thing. But the fact that Hudson was able to celebrate that young man, and I still have that picture in my office.
That's amazing.
Sitting up there on my bulletin board, and I'll have it out.
Isn't it cool how kids get this sometimes better than adults? Like,
Yeah.
you scale the ability of the player based upon what that player's bringing to the team, and you just appreciate whatever their contribute. You know what a good play is.
Well, and I don't even know if Hudson knows today what that meant to me. But
That's so
but
awesome.
but I often people look at me and go, "Is that your son?" Yeah. Well, he's 23 now, but
Yeah.
that's still on my wall.
Good
and I don't
job.
know if he was like 10 or so when that happened. So
It is funny.
it was natural, and that's what made it
came.
more. And that's
Again,
what
kids are natural.
Being intentional about teamwork and work ethic and appreciating goodness when it happens is something special.
That's awesome.
Well, I would say I have one regret
Yeah.
that I wish I would have let my kids do. And this is going to sound silly, but when we were at the Ole Miss Alabama game,
Which one?
we won. when
So it was one of three.
it was the one where we intercepted. I can't think of his name.
And
Sin Questel intercepted in the end zone.
Wow, we all know the name because we only
That one
only
time.
won 3 times.
And so
College game
I had
day
the
was in
kids, and everybody storms the field, and I did not. I think John did, but I can't. I know I did not let Olivia storm the field.
You didn't throw her over the fence?
I did not, because I was worried
Goalpost
she was
was
going to
hit
get
She's
run
light
over.
as a feather.
I
She
know
would
it.
have fit over there really easy.
But I thought she would have gotten run over. So, but I think
Coward.
as we were waiting for everybody to get back to the Grove and the goalpost come through, I just think that would have been to have her experience that. And maybe she would have gone on that.
Olivia would have probably been on the goalpost because they would have picked her up and thrown her up there, and
Probably.
she'd have been on Sports
They
Illustrated.
let
Anyway,
kids
but
on the
I
impression, the
think
field
just I think being intentional and loving on your kids and
Yeah.
encouraging them, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to, and you have to learn from those, because if you don't, then they're going to be set up for disaster when they get older. But
Yeah.
Can I share one quick one before we
Sure.
transition? Because I mean, all
Go.
this talk, it reminds me, the sports tradition in particular. And you talk about bringing your kid to their first Ole Miss game. I grew up. My father was a psycho diehard New Orleans Saints fan.
Oh, yeah.
He bought season tickets the first year New Orleans got a franchise and went to every game that he could. So as I got older, first of all, watching him sitting in the living room going nuts, I couldn't understand why he was so emotional watching these games. And let's be clear, these were the 70s. This was a bad series of time.
The Aints.
They were called the Aints. We wore paper bags over our heads because we were so embarrassed to support such a terrible team. But we went to the games. And so I watched several seasons of him sitting in his comfortable chair, watching this terrible team get beat every year. And I was probably 7 or 8 years old when he said, "Do you want to come with me to a game?" And of course, how do you say no to that? And I had no idea what to expect. Needless to say, when you've only seen the game through the lens of a television screen, when you first go to the Superdome or any stadium, it is you're not ready for that. You
Right.
just don't understand
Right.
the electricity and the atmosphere, and
Yeah.
And for him it was natural, but for me it was this first time moment. And you go up these long concourse ramps with just rivers of fans, and you finally get to this place where it opens up into the field. And it's just like I had to stop and just take it in, And I'll never. We were playing the Houston Oilers, who later would become the Tennessee Titans.
Earl Campbell.
Earl Campbell was at running back.
Nice.
And do you remember who their coach was?
Bum Phillips.
Bum Phillips. Yeah.
He was
absolutely.
But just like I am sitting here getting chills. We lost the game. I was super disappointed, but I still had the best time. And so you fast forward. Now, again, it was my senior year of high school that Dad moved to Memphis. And ultimately, when I came out of Ole Miss, this is where I came. And so we hadn't been to a Saints game in years. And now my son is 8 or 9. And we were sitting around just talking about those days when we would go to Saints games together. Because now, at that point in our lives, the Saints were really good. We had Drew Brees. We were making deep runs into the playoffs.
Right.
Reggie Bush. And my mother was like, "You guys should go back. Jake's never been to a game."
Yeah.
And so that was our opportunity. And it was the most obvious suggestion. And so we turned that into a trip. And we booked the train. We went down in the city of New Orleans, and it was my chance to take my father, because at that point he was having early signs of Parkinson's. He needed a little bit of help. My son, of course, was 9. He needed a little bit of help, and so now I'm the one creating this experience,
Yeah.
But the whole time we were riding down on that train, I was thinking about that first game against the Houston Oilers,
Yeah.
and couldn't wait to share that with my son, And there was a moment that, we had great meals. We got into the city early. We met my sister and brother-in-law and hung out with them for a little bit. But on game day, we're walking in, and the crowd was as thick as I've ever seen at the Superdome. Again, now the Saints are good, so now they're filling this thing up on a regular basis. And at some point, my son just sort of instinctively grabs my dad's hand. And they're walking, and I'm just sitting behind them.
That's so cool.
And I was begging
take a picture?
I was begging for a camera, Lee. I did not have a camera.
You don't have an iPhone?
This was not.
Come on,
This was
man.
not in a time of iPhones. But that was it, man. That was like everything was perfect in the world. And by the way, we did win that game. We did win that
awesome.
game. Yeah.
Cool story.
I love that story. I might have heard that once before when I read it.
I had to turn this into a book. I mean, I had to capture it. It was for my father. I wanted to get this thing published before he was gone.
Yeah.
And then I wanted my son to enjoy it as well.
Well, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And everybody should go get a copy. You want to tell us the name of it?
You're trying to plug my book?
I am.
So the name of the book is Our Home, Our Team.
And you can get it on Amazon?
You can get it on anywhere, yeah. It's available. It's
You
available.
need to check it out. So, hey, let me change gears real quick. Mm-hmm. So, changing gears, the second part to Jess's question is, hey, I want to learn to develop a taste for whiskey or bourbon. And how do I do that? How do I make it to where it doesn't make me wince when I do that? So, my suggestion to Jess is, first of all, you may want to try it in a cocktail first. You need to find some cocktails. That's kind of part of the inspiration for the cocktail quickie and where we're going with that. So definitely, start that way. I believe we've done an old fashioned. You might hear another episode of a Manhattan coming pretty soon. You might hear another episode of a Gold Rush.
Don't forget the Boulevardier.
The Boulevardier that came out last week. That's right. Those are all great opportunities. There'll be another one that's coming out here very soon. And so it'll be the paper plane, I believe, is what it's called. So we'll try those out. So those are some great opportunities to taste bourbon in a cocktail. If you want to start drinking bourbon neat, or maybe with a little ice or a little water, that might be an easier way to do it too.
Go 90 proof if you're going to do it.
Start off with the 90 proof. I maybe start 90, 93, 94 proof, and then drop an ice cube in it. I think that it loses something when you start getting into the 80 proof, and I don't think you're going to find the bourbon that's probably going to be some that you're going to truly enjoy. It might hurt you a little bit.
And Jess, if you want to be like us, let's be honest. We talked a little about this earlier. Get you some Coca-Cola. If you drink Coke, put a little bourbon in Coke.
Sprite.
Technically it's a cocktail, but I'm telling you, you get the essence, the oak, the corn, the nice tangy mash. But obviously, the Coke helps better it down. But it's a fantastic question, because if you're jumping right into the 110s and trying to drink it neat,
don't do that.
Don't do that.
You're not going to enjoy that.
And I would stay away from anything that's super high proof. So those are definite ways to do it. And then if it is hot and you are going to take it neat, then I would say the first thing you want to do is just put a touch on your tongue. When you don't, just let it taste like you're sticking your toe in the water at the swimming pool or wherever, the bathtub, to see what the temperature is. That's the best way to do it. And then after you put your toe in the water, you can make a little decision about what you're going to do. And then it allows your mouth to actually get acclimated to either the heat or the proof of the bourbon. So that's a way to start it. And then after that, just take a small sip, swish it around your mouth, and then you'll get used to it. By the third or fourth sip, you ought to be in good shape, and you ought to be able to pick up on the flavors and what happened to make that whiskey go. So just like we are intentional with our podcast, I believe bourbon and whiskey is intentional. I believe everything you started a long time ago. It starts off in the still, and then it comes out of the still and it goes in that barrel and has to sit and age for years. And then all the character and all the stories that come out of those bottles, out of those barrels, is what makes a difference. And that's what we've been doing here. So, cheers to you, Jess. You inspired this podcast episode. We really, really appreciate it. There's a lot more stuff to come, and we are so excited about what we have to offer. Please don't hesitate to reach out, just like Jess did. We'd love to interact with you on Instagram at 3 Assorted Crackers. We'd love to interact with you on email. We'd love for you to suggest additional episodes.
And there's always good stuff that comes out of a still.
Whether it's a Lee still or a...
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Good question. Really good suggestions,
Thank you, Jess. That was a lot of fun
and good
talking about
advice.
that.
Good advice.
So real quick, we're sipping a little bit on something that's got a little age on it. Guys, this is the Jimmy Russell 70-year edition. So this is a tribute to Jimmy Russell. Jimmy Russell is the master distiller at Wild Turkey, and this is an 8-year-old 101 proof bourbon. It's a blend of 8 and 9-year-old whiskeys that were hand selected by Jimmy. and his favorite rick houses. So he knows where those honey barrels are. And what he's doing. So Jimmy has been doing this for 70 years. Started when he was 18 years old. He still goes to the distillery every day.
Wow.
And you can find him most of the time, I'm told, if you get there in the visitor's lodge. So if you have a chance and you are going up there, you darn sure want to go up and shake the hand of Jimmy Russell, maybe get an autograph, do something like that, because he is a legend when it comes to being a master distiller.
Well, Lee, what I love about this, before we even get into tasting notes, is your creative picking here, because we're right before Thanksgiving and you're bringing in a wild turkey.
There you go.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yes, sir.
So what do you get, guys?
Still sniffing.
Nice nose. It's
Great
not
nose.
overpowering.
No.
Really nice nose.
Very smooth.
101 proof. A little vanilla.
Yep.
Certainly get the corn. It's all all the wild turkey. Every one of them has the same mash bill.
Is that right?
Every one of them. All of the rare breeds.
But it coats your mouth really well.
Yeah.
It's got a
finish.
nice. It's not a strong hug, but it's a good hug.
Maybe some butterscotch.
Yeah, it's a little sweeter, but this is not weeded.
No.
But
It's
it,
right.
as you know, I like a sweeter bourbon. This has got a little bit. It's got some of the sweeter notes without the wheat, which is pretty impressive.
I think it's proof down to be that the 101. I think that's where Jimmy has always said. That's why you have Wild Turkey 101. That's why all of those are out there. He's always said that everything he wants to do is that way. His son Eddie is the one that has come up with the rare breed, but Jimmy is the one that has the Kentucky Spirit and the Wild Turkey 101, and then obviously this rendition of his 70th edition.
It's really good. At least
70th
That is
anniversary.
delicious. If you can find that,
this is good.
you need to
Yep.
get a bottle.
Well, I'll tell you, I found this one at Corks. When I
Okay.
stopped by and see the guys over at Corks at Farmington, that's where it was. It's back on the shelf, right next to the rest of the Wild Turkey part.
I love that you're on a first name basis with Jimmy. Now, you encouraged everybody to shake his hand. Have you shaken this man's hand?
I have not shaken his hand, but it is on a bucket list. Somebody take me to Louisville,
Let's do
please.
this.
Can
We
y'all
really
take
do
me
need to do a
to
tour.
somebody take me to the trail?
Road trip.
Guys, this has been fun. Jess, thank you for the suggestion, and thank you, Lee Wilson, for the stories. This is I think
Always fun to share.
I've got the more we talk, the more I was thinking of other stories. So we might even do a part 2 at some point on this one.
Well, the stories grow every year, so
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's the key. All right, everybody, thank you for listening to Assorted Crackers, and as always, we encourage you to don't go stale and
try new flavors.
hear, hear. At least we're not recording.
We're having rabbit stew for dinner, folks.
Was that toast? All right, hold on. We're going to fix this.
Oh, hey.